Hello, welcome to Sound Ideas. This is a podcast series thing where we talk about Kingdom Hearts music to a very niche audience that would probably be you watching this. I'm your host, Kinode, represented by my little prismatic melody Heartless, the glass ostinato, here in the corner of the screen. This episode is going to mark kind of a change in direction for the series. I'm going to start interviewing specifically musicians that have a focus on the Kingdom Hearts series. I feel like the whole point of Sound Ideas is to talk about Kingdom Hearts music, so it makes sense to get content creators that have a focus on music and Kingdom Hearts simultaneously. So, for this first episode of this new sort of direction, I have someone that I've been following for a few years, ViolinGamer.
Hello everybody, I'm ViolinGamer. I am a Kingdom Hearts speedrunner and content creator, and I also make covers of video game music on YouTube. I'm a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts. I've been listening to Kingdom Hearts music. I've been a huge fan of Kingdom Hearts music since I started playing Kingdom Hearts in like 2008, and I've been following it very, very closely, and Yoko Shimomura has been one of my biggest inspirations. So.
Oh, cool. You're ready.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here. It's awesome to be able to talk to other like content creators and other musicians that like Kingdom Hearts. It's not as easy to find as you would expect, even though there are quite a lot of them out there. But I feel like musicians in the Kingdom Hearts community are always kind of like spread, like they're all each on their own little bubble. So it's cool to get in touch with everyone. You have two channels, right? One is music focused and one is speedrun and gaming focused.
Correct.
I wanted to ask, like, when did you start each of those channels, and like how do you balance that?
So I started uploading to YouTube frequently. I started making violin covers back in 2013 when I was like a sophomore in high school. My first cover was actually Sora's theme, and if you look back, the cover's really, really poorly made, but hey, I was having fun back then. We all have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And then I took a few months break. Since I was in school, I didn't have a lot of time to make covers and such. But in 2016, that's when I really started putting out a lot of violin covers. And not just Kingdom Hearts, I would branch out into like Mario, Zelda, and whatnot. And then I started uploading to my gaming channel, which is Violin SR, in the summer of last year. And I will admit I haven't been balancing the two channels very well, primarily because I've been busy live streaming full-time to Twitch. And I've also developed repetitive stress injuries in my arms. Yeah. So before I would be able to play violin for like 3 hours plus every single day. Now, if I even play 10 minutes, I have to take a break. So I haven't uploaded any music for 6 months now.
Oh,
but
wow.
I've been working on a massive Octopath Traveler collaboration, which should be out sometime this month or next month.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
So you can look forward to that.
So in your music channel, you have, and you mentioned that you've done covers of a bunch of different game franchises, not just Kingdom Hearts. What's like some of your other favorite video game soundtracks?
I love Koji Kondo. I think he is one of the best composers for video games. So my favorite music of his is probably Zelda. Lots of Ocarina of Time, Wind Waker especially. Wind Waker is my favorite soundtrack probably from the Zelda series. And also Breath of the Wild has been... I know he didn't compose for Breath of the Wild, but it's been fun. Also lots of classic Mario tunes, like Gusty Gardens Galaxy. That's a very popular one that I've done. I don't know, like the Star Power theme, Yoshi's Island music, Super Mario World music, huge fan of that. And then some lesser known titles that I just randomly found. Oh, and also Crash Bandicoot is a big one.
Oh yeah.
Josh Mansell is one of my favorite composers as well. He composed for the original trilogy, so.
Yeah, damn, that's a lot. That's a lot of games. Jeez, I was expecting you to say like a couple. That's the more the merrier, and it makes sense that that you really like Wind Waker, right? Because your profile picture on your YouTube channel is kind of like a Toon Link sort of avatar.
Yeah, it's based on Toon Link with a mix of Kingdom Hearts. Like he has a golden crown in the Data Org outfit.
Yeah,
So.
I always wonder what was up with that. Now I know.
Yeah.
So, has Kingdom Hearts been a big influence on you as a musician? Like, was that part of what made you be interested in music?
Oh, 100%. It's probably the leading factor of why I started doing what I started doing, which is making violin covers. Yeah. And also, when it comes to making my own like original music, Yoko Shimomura definitely inspired me to make a lot of them.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask about that later if you had like original projects, because I know you post some music to Spotify too, and your channel has a lot of video game covers, a lot of them, but I never saw you post anything original, and I was gonna ask like, do you post that anywhere? Like, is there anywhere we can listen to your music?
Yeah, so I actually have a SoundCloud, which I used to post a lot of original tunes to. I haven't uploaded in like a year though. I sort of hit this really big mental block with composing, and it's really hard for me to come up with anything nowadays. I do want to take some music theory classes in the future and try to get past that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I just haven't had any good ideas or any time really. But yeah, if you want to listen to my original music, I posted all this stuff on soundcloud.com/ViolinGamer. I composed a bunch of music for this indie RPG. It's not out yet. It's been in development for like 4 or 5 years at this point. But I composed a lot of the OST along with some other members of the Kingdom Hearts speedrunning community. They actually helped out with it.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
Who are those? I would like to know who else is involved with that.
There's Yitamoda. He composed a few. Mr. Manny 620 composed a few. And I believe Sir Tellius made one track. I'm not sure if you know.
Yeah.
Tellius is pretty big in the VGM community. Plays piano.
I do know him, and I noticed that he's been putting out a lot more Kingdom Hearts covers recently, which is very neat. I don't know the other two, or if I do, I'm not recognizing them by name.
Yitamoda is the current world record holder for Kingdom Hearts 3 speedruns.
Oh, cool.
And he's a really good, talented composer. So.
Wow, that's neat. I didn't know so many speedrunners were also involved with music stuff. That's cool. So you mentioned that Yoko Shimomura was a big influence on you becoming a musician and making violin covers and stuff. And I watched your OST tier lists, right? Yeah, we watched it on Discord, and we were like, oh man, I totally agree with this. Oh man, what? I totally disagree with this. We were just having fun watching it. But there is one thing that I feel like we do have in common, which is the perspective on where the serious musical direction seems to be heading as it gives space to other composers. What is your take on that?
I mean, I understand why they have to outsource a certain amount of music to different composers, because they just don't have enough resources for. I mean, just think from Yoko's perspective, how hard it is to come up with so many tracks, and just how much work it is. So it is smart to give like Ishimoto and what is his name?
Sekito.
Yeah. It's smart to give them some work to do, but I don't agree with giving them such important pieces. Like, Like for the final boss theme, like everyone knows how much I dislike Dark Domination. Something as important as the final boss theme should not be given to anyone but Yoko because of how important it is.
Yeah, I
So,
completely agree. But it's really interesting. I think like Kingdom Hearts 3 was such a weird like deviation from the musical direction that had been set up like to that point. Like
hmm
even like Dream Drop Distance, which was I think the big point where Sakito and Ishimoto really kind of became the like also main composers like
hmm
Shimomura. Like before that, they were kind of like cameos, right? But in Dream Drop, like Sakito got like a lot of the boss theme. Ishimoto did like the all the music for the grid, so like that kind of established them as big composers for the series. But like Kingdom Hearts 3 just kind of went nuts, and not only did it
hmm
have them making a lot of the music for the game, but it also just had a ton of other like kind of guest composers. I don't even know what you call them, but uh, just a ton of like
a lot
random
of
people just doing music for the cutscenes and like the limit cut just
mhm.
having a ton of different composers. Like it's so cool.
Yeah, I was gonna mention how in Kingdom Hearts 3, unlike in any other Kingdom Hearts game, there's a lot of cinematic music that is only used in cutscenes, and it's really really fun to listen to. It's not something a lot of people pay attention to when they're first playing, but when you listen to the music by itself, it's really well arranged and instrumentated. It's very nice.
Yeah, and like it's the sheer scale of the music in Kingdom Hearts 3 is kind of insane. Like people talk about how it's kind of underwhelming and like not super memorable, but it's kind of crazy just how much of it there is, and people just kind of
hmm
overlook that because of how much it like, plays once in a cutscene and then like whatever. But it really,
Yeah.
I feel like it in a way it benefits it, and in a way it kind of harms it because it does
Mm.
make some of the tracks a little less memorable because they play less, especially like event themes and stuff. Uh, but on the other hand, it makes it like some of their narratives and the worlds like so much more musically compelling. Like uh,
Yeah.
the music in the Tangled world, like the cutscene music, incorporates motifs from the feud music and the battle theme, and like it's a very cool attention to detail, and like I feel like there must have been like a collaboration between composers too, because like
hmm
it wasn't Yoko doing the cutscene music for the
Yeah.
Tangled world, it was someone else, but they were using
hmm
elements that Yoko was composing for, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And I think the goal of like cinematic cutscene music shouldn't be to be memorable. It should be to set the mood for the scene so that the person viewing it is enjoying it, or they
Oh yeah,
understand what kind of tone is supposed to be happening, you know?
yeah, I completely
Um,
agree.
yeah, it's not until you're in gameplay where the music should be memorable.
Right.
But in cutscenes, that's fine. I don't have anything against that.
Yeah. I guess also one of the reasons people are kind of like so critical of Kingdom Hearts 3, and this is something people say a lot, is like, oh, all the themes are rehashed, like everything is a remix of something else. I'm like, not really. I mean, yeah, but
Yeah.
like every single track that that Yoko worked on was like brand new, so I'm not sure
hmm
what. And like that's still the majority of the soundtrack. Uh, it doesn't really feel like it, but if you look at it, like she still did like, if not most of it, like at least over 40% of the soundtrack is still like stuff she composed, and like, and a lot of that is just like Disney World music and like
hmm
uh, some of the final battle themes. What was that? Dawn of Hope was the one with Terra Nord and Vanitas. Like, that's a fucking
hmm
cool theme.
Yeah.
But yeah, out of all the moving out of Kingdom Hearts 3 for a second, like out of all the other Kingdom Hearts games, which one do you think has like the best overall soundtrack? I think you've mentioned this on your tier lists, but I don't remember.
If we were to go with like quality over quantity, I'd say Kingdom Hearts 1 has the most consistently good soundtrack. Like, if you watch my tier list video, we had nothing below C tier. Like, I cannot find a bad track in Kingdom Hearts 1. If we were to go with quality over quantity, like how many amazing tracks there are, definitely Kingdom Hearts 2, KH2 2.5 specifically, has a lot of memorable pieces that I enjoy. But if we were to look at a game like as a whole, I'd say KH1.
Yeah,
for sure.
That makes perfect sense. KH1 is like extra impressive because it sets up all these ideas, these musical ideas that intertwine with the narrative and get developed later on in the other games too. And like, it's crazy how much Shimomura was able to establish by herself. She was the only composer for Kingdom Hearts 1. I mean, aside from Utada Hikaru, kinda, and Karawada arranged a couple things, but like, she was the main composer, the one who did everything, and like, it's so many ideas, it's so many perfectly done incorporations of instrumentation, of bringing these Disney worlds to life while also bringing these new original ideas to life, and like, it's so cool, like, it's so impressive. And Kingdom Hearts 2, I feel like every other game aside from Kingdom Hearts 1 doesn't quite live up to that sort of scale of like imagination, because want you or not, there are gonna be returning themes and returning ideas for the sake of consistency, which is obviously a good thing and makes sense, but it's never gonna be that like that brand new sort of feeling, you know, or at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I could agree with that for most games. Like after KH1, I would say Kingdom Hearts 3 does it a bit better than the rest, not including KH1. But I think music in Kingdom Hearts 3, like for example, you have the Olympus music in KH3. It really, I don't know how to explain, but it really makes traversing through that world really exciting, and I don't know, just the feeling of the music makes the world itself feel more expansive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it feels kind of fresh, right? Because it's the first time that Olympus, I mean, aside from the underworld, which I don't think counts, but it's the first time Olympus has like a completely new sort of field theme, and like it has a couple 2-second references to the past themes, but it's like overall it's a brand new feeling, right? Yeah,
and like the world, we know the world itself is massive, and I think the music captivates that perfectly. Like, it sounds, it's a massive arrangement and has a lot of things going on, but it's not like too overbearing. It's good, like, exploration music.
Yeah, I agree. It feels grand. That's like a lot of the world. Like, I feel like Kingdom Hearts 3 has some of the best world music, especially when composed by Shimomura. But the Olympus one, I feel, gets overlooked a lot because it is the first world in the game. So by the end of it, people are kind of gonna forget it. But like, God, it's so good, and like it's so well done. It's so well arranged. It fits. It's also kind of crazy because it fits the Thebes area just as well as it fits Mount Olympus. And like, it's like, what? How? How does she do it? Out of like every track in Kingdom Hearts, like if you could pick one as your all-time favorite or just the best track ever composed, which one would you pick?
My favorite track is Nachtflugel.
Really? That's interesting. Why?
There are a lot of reasons. I mean, my favorite composer growing up was Tchaikovsky, and something about that piece really reminds me of his style in a way, maybe mixed with like a bit of Rachmaninoff in later parts. I don't know if that makes sense.
I can see it. Yeah, I can totally see it.
It's just such a classical feeling piece.
Right.
And having grown up with classical music, like listening to that every single day. It really struck a chord in me. But I'm sure, like the whole theme, the whole theming outside of the music also plays into effect. Like the whole
context.
Yeah, the music in its context is perfect. It's so emotional, and then it has very climactic parts, very quiet parts.
Right.
It's just very mesmerizing, and I can't stop listening to it. It's so good.
There's something about Flug. I don't know like how to explain it, but it feels like super, like it feels softer than you would think it would be, right? Like throughout the whole thing, it's kind of like surprisingly quiet. I don't know how to explain it, but I can totally see what you mean by it. It sounded kind of like Tchaikovsky in style, and that's kind of crazy because Shimomura, like, I don't know, is that is that nuts for me to say that like she usually doesn't invoke this classical sort of feeling, like?
Yeah, usually her music is pretty straightforward and to the point.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's very different from a lot of things we've previously heard, but I'm a huge fan of the quadrata motif and also the Yozora motif, like meshed together.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
I think
it's really nice piece.
If I would like say something about Flug, like I don't know why, like it doesn't even make sense because it's such a recent thing, but it feels really nostalgic for some reason. Like
yes,
that's like like it feels like I heard this before, you know? Like why is it so familiar? And like I don't know, like it feels like I'm going back in time. In a way, it's so crazy. Even like the sound design for the fight has a couple of things that I don't see anyone really talk about, but I feel like they also complement to it. Like, you know that move where he does like the red ball that sucks you in. Like if you do get sucked in, like the sound design for that is like it has like this sort of static effect on like the left ear. Like I don't know if you ever noticed that, but like it's such a weirdly neat touch. Yeah, it complements that feeling of it feeling like almost like old timey. I don't know. If I asked you like what your favorite track was. I know your least favorite one is probably Dark Domination.
Maybe. Like I really dislike the grid music from Dream Drop Distance.
Oh yeah, hard agree.
I despise listening to that. I don't know why. It's just too repetitive, and not a huge fan of the techno type synths that are used. I don't know. It's just not the quality I'm looking for in my Kingdom Hearts music. But Dark Domination, I would say, is definitely my least favorite. Not only because the quality sounds not great. Like, at the very least, I wish they would have recorded everything with real instruments. But aside from that, also misusing the lingering will motif, it's really an insult to people like me who grew up listening to Cage music a lot.
I feel like it's kind of an insult to Shimomura in a way, because it's like it kind of just fits on, because she would never do this. She would never do this. She would never misuse the motifs that she has been establishing for 20 years. Like, come on. And I feel like, and it's like a lot of people would probably argue like, well, he isn't Shimomura. Like, of course they're not.
That's the problem.
You know what?
That's the problem.
That's not even. I feel like that's not even the problem. Like, sure, like it shouldn't have been anyone else but Shimomura. But you don't see any other freaking arranger for Cage 3 making these kind of mistakes. Like Yasuharu Nishiki, who did Forza Finale, the Nord Court boss music. Like, that was his first time doing anything for the series, and he understood the motifs he was using. He understood the characters and the events and like the context of what he was composing for, and he did a good job, a great job, a phenomenal job.
Yeah, he did his research.
Yeah, he did his research. Ishimoto has been with Kingdom Hearts ever since like One Final Mix as a sound synthesizer. Like, in one way or another, he should have been familiar with this kind of thing, right?
Yeah, it feels to me that they really like came across a time constraint.
Oh yeah.
And the music feels very rushed. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but that's what it feels like.
I do get that feeling. I remember reading an interview like with some of the sound crew. It wasn't the composers. It was with like the sound crew of Cage 3 like that worked on. Shoot, I forgot their names. But basically people who fix the sound mixing and stuff like that. And one of them mentioned that they actually you know that that track that plays in the Rapunzel world, which with the birds singing it, I think. Actually, no, it's not that one. It's the one for the Flan minigame that in Corona. They mentioned in that interview that they kind of just they just arranged it for fun, and then just gave it to the sound director, and he was like, "Yeah, we're gonna use this. We're running out of time." Like,
oh no.
Like, yeah, we need some more tracks. I'm gonna use this if you don't. Like, that kind of gave me the impression that overall, near the end of development, they were just kind of running out of time. But then, here's the question: why did they leave the most important stuff last? You know?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I've seen other interviews as well where Shimomura talks about like that she likes leaving some of the more important and like the final boss sort of things to near the end, because then she feels more pressured and she does a better job at them. She's kind of a procrastinator, like, oh man, if I do something kind of last minute, it's gonna be better. But like, come on.
I mean, maybe that works for her, but I don't think it works for Ishimoto.
Yeah, so. For sure, not at all. Man, it's crazy.
Also, it might be because the ending of Kingdom Hearts 3 in general was rushed, and we can see that with just the fact that you can't explore the Skull Island.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like,
I don't know.
The development of Cage 3 is always gonna be such a mystery, because like we're never gonna be able to tell like what exactly happened that made it end up the way it was. Like, it's a fine game, but you can tell that like some things just didn't work out and they had to do what they could. Like, my friend Sam actually like found out today that the battle music for the final world is Edge of Existence if you summon enemies there.
Really?
Yeah. So it makes you think like, huh? Wait, is this where this was gonna play? And it makes sense because it's called Edge of Existence.
It's called Edge of it. Yeah, that's perfect. Huh.
And you're like, okay, what was gonna happen here? Like, why?
Weird.
What was the original plan? Oh man, it makes me just think it could have been so cool. Whatever they were gonna do could have been so cool, and then it wasn't. I always wondered like why the final world as a world feels so weird. Like, it feels like it was just kind of put together, and like it's a cool concept, but you don't really do anything there. It's not like a place you really get to explore, really. And it's such a, like, the whole concept of it having like those pillars, like those white things, like there could have been like a cool platforming section or like a little mini dungeon or something like. And then they just made that weird square that rotates, and you have to do a fetch quest for 30 minutes. It's like, come on.
I feel like the final world is just, well, now it's just a set piece for any important lore that happens.
No, God, please no.
I think that's the only point now for that world to exist. Like, we had the Nameless Star and Nominate, and now, you know, Riku going there.
Why come up
I don't
with
know.
these awesome concepts, like these awesome settings where anything can happen, and then you use it to have characters stand around and talking?
Yep.
Like what? Come on. Oh no.
I don't know. There's definitely some wasted potential there, but at least the music is really good.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, if I would say like the best part, the best music from Kingdom Hearts 3 is the Final World and Edge of Existence. Like those two are just the best ones in the entire game. I don't know what to say. Like, it's Shimomura doing her thing. Like, she is in her prime, in her like environment. Like, I don't know. I wish we got to see more of that. Like, I wish she
Kingdom Hearts
got
4.
to do more. We hope. And David's been saying, with like every time we talk about the future of the franchise, it's just like, you know, watch the field theme for Quadratum being composed by Ishimoto because it's a cool night city thing, and Nomura's like, oh yeah, Ishimoto does cool music. Let's put him here.
I really hope not.
And because, like, you know, the Toy Box trailer thing has that track called Virum Rex, also composed by Ishimoto, and it's absolutely disgusting. It's such a bad track. It's so terrible. I don't know if you remember how it sounds.
The music for the Virum Rex trailer?
Yeah, in Toy Box. It's like, oh my god, it's so bad.
Yeah. See, that makes sense now, because I actually didn't know that, but there was always something in the back of my mind saying that, wow, this trailer looks cool, but there's something off about it. I can't really explain it. Like, it's supposed to allude to, like, Versus 13, but it doesn't give me the same vibes with the music.
Why?
And I understand now.
Why the fuck didn't Nomura tell Shimomura to compose for that? Also, give me 1 second, because my cat is meowing at my door. She wants to speak, so I shall let her speak.
Hello, cat.
Okay, now she's shy.
I mean, we already have a theme for Quadratum. Like, when you go into the data greeting, you can listen to that. So maybe they'll end up using that in some way. And obviously Yoko Shimomura is amazing at making nighttime city themes, because FF15 exists, which she composed for. So if we have if they ever make some type of music similar to that, it would work very well.
It's so weird, like, and I keep bringing up these interviews, but like, I think it was for the orchestra that like Nomura had an interview with Shimomura or something, and he was like, yeah, Ishimoto does the cool music, Shimomura does the epic music, and Sakuto does the happy music. And then Sakuto in another interview was like, I don't do happy music, but like that's what they keep telling me to do in Kingdom Hearts, so I do it. Like, it's like
I feel bad for him.
Yeah, he's like and he's also the one that just kind of gets overlooked in general by the fans.
Yeah, he is
like,
really good.
And yeah, he's so good. Like, in the fact that like he doesn't even feel like he does a good, like, he's not someone who composes happy music, but then he just does it anyway. Like, he probably, like, he has a range that is going super underutilized. Like, and I hope that it starts getting used, because even like for Union Cross, he did like a bunch of music for the Wreck-It Ralph worlds, and like there's like 3 worlds inside Wreck-It Ralph alone, and he did like the field music, the battle music, the event music. Like, he did all of it,
and they're all good.
And they're all good. Like,
yeah,
some of them are like super, like, it's not a Shimomura level sort of thing, but like they're all perfectly fine, and like they all fit, and they're not offensive.
I love all of his Dream Drop Distance stuff too.
Oh yeah,
like the battle theme against Wargoyle.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's one that like everyone seems to like a lot. I love Gigabyte Mantis, or Gigabyte. I never know how to pronounce that.
That one is really cool.
Yeah,
it's so different, but it works. It's and also all of the dive themes are amazing too.
Right.
Which he composed.
people like, and this is like, every episode of this ends up being me complaining about Ishimoto and trying to praise the other ones, but like, there's this preconceived notion that Ishimoto is really good at making electric guitar and electronic music, right? But it's like, did y'all know that Sakuto plays the electric guitar and also does electronic music? Like, we already have someone who can do these things. Why don't we use him to do these things? Like, and he has proven it. Like, look at Gigabyte Mantis. That's like a theme that uses electronic elements like really well, and it's one of the best tracks in GTD. And like, no one talks about it. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah, and also it's not like Yoko Shimomura can't compose electronic stuff too. She's done so much of that. Like the Space Paranoids themes in Cage 2, those are great. Like even stuff like Rage Awakened, there's a lot of synth, not just Rage Awakened, but Dark Impetus. There's a lot of synth in there, a lot of synth, a lot of amazing bass that, like, she can obviously make electronic music.
Yeah, you're right.
Ishimoto though, I don't know. If I got to ask Yoko Shimomura one question and one question only, I would love to ask her how she truly feels about
Dark
Ishimoto.
Domination. Okay, yeah, or
about Dark Domination. Yeah.
It's weird because every interview she's like, "Oh yeah, he's really good. He's really talented," and it's like, you don't believe that for a second.
Does she really? Yeah. Does she really believe that though?
I cannot. Like, she was praising Dark Domination in one of the interviews, and I was like, there is no way you didn't feel offended by that. Like, if she doesn't, like, she is a saint, because I would just be pissed off. Like, how dare? I would be like, how dare you? And did you know that he actually literally used the MIDI for Rage Awakened? Like, from 2FM. Like, he asked Shimomura for the data of the original MIDIs. So he basically just copy and paste it.
Wow.
And he says it in an interview, like, with no shame. Like, oh yeah, I use her original data. Like, good for you, Ishimoto.
That's horrible.
But I mean, at least he's having fun. What can I say? At least he's doing music.
Having fun and getting paid. Yeah.
I mean, he seems to be like doing a little bit better, and like, he released some of the tracks for the new The World Ends With You game, and like, those were alright. Like, I have nothing bad to say about them really, because it worries me that like he's just gonna end up getting more and more important stuff. Like, he already got the final battle theme. Like, what if he just keeps getting more?
There's nothing more important than that.
Yeah, it's like, oh man. This is so...
But on the bright side, we have a lot of amazing arrangers that worked on KH3 Remind.
Oh yeah. And even better, Ishimoto didn't come back for Limit Cut.
Yep.
Sakuto came back, Shimomura came back, a ton of other people came back. Like, my favorites are Sachiko Miyano and Natsumi Kamioka. They're the arrangers for the piano collections, and they also did like some of the other arrangements from KH3 bass. And man, they just they're so good. I love them. And every track from Remind is just, it's so good. It's the best.
Yeah. In my tier list, I put all of them in God tier.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, it's true. Out of the Limit Cut ones, do you have like a favorite one?
That is so difficult.
I don't know if I could answer, honestly.
Probably. Oh my god. I'm torn between Lord of the Castle and the Master Xehanort theme.
Oh, cool. If I'm not mistaken, those were both arranged by Sachiko Miyano, which is my goddess. She's so good. She also she arranged the Memoria Vector to the Heavens. She arranged what else? I forgot. She arranged the music related to this, the Shion, and the other promise for the piano collections. Like she does this the best arrangements. Treasured memories from the orchestra. Like god, it's like it's so good. If I could keep thinking about it. Anyway, yeah.
I also really like the Young Xehanort theme. Just the upgrade with the synths.
Oh
is
yeah,
really cool to listen to.
You covered that, right? You transcribed the whole thing. How was that like? Because that must have been crazy to transcribe.
I actually didn't transcribe it myself. I had
really?
someone else do it. Yeah. I did transcribe the vector to the heavens, and that was fun.
Oh yeah. You did like a perfect job with that too. Like it's insanely
Thank
accurate. Like hello. I tried. I transcribed the Lord of the Castle one. Like, and I feel like that's my best transcription I've ever made of anything. Like it just feels like it's very accurate and very good. But it was so hard. Like, and I didn't actually cover it. I didn't like get people to play them. I just made the MIDI, threw it on YouTube, and I was like, yeah, this is good.
Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, but yeah, it's super.
Cool.
You like man, how was that like? How is it like when you work on collaborations with other YouTubers? Like, how does that whole process go? Like,
it's a very, very lengthy process. So yeah, first you have to figure out what you want to play, and then you have to transcribe it or find someone to transcribe it. Lately, I've been there's a really cool arranger. His name is Jonathan Shaw. He does a lot of amazing transcriptions and arrangements. So I usually go out to him now when I don't have. Since I speedrun full time on Twitch now, I don't have time to arrange things anymore, sadly. And he's just way more experienced than I am, so he can catch a lot of things that I normally couldn't hear, despite how much I've been listening to the music. But the hardest part by far is finding musicians who are interested to play the pieces. And not just any musicians that are good enough.
Yeah.
Because I have really high standards when I look for people to play the parts.
You know, it's weird because I've like for the latest covers that I do, that I've made, like, and every time I needed to collab with people, I kind of end up finding people surprisingly easy when I actually go out and look for it. But actually just asking people is so intimidating. Like I get so embarrassed of asking people for help. Like I've asked you for help and you helped. But it was like
I used to be that way.
Before I sent the message, I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna be annoying these people. I'm gonna be like, it was like this thing where like, oh man, I'm asking these people to do something for me for free. And I don't, like, even if I could, like, I don't have money to pay. So like,
yeah, and I used to be that way when I did collabs, but lately I've stopped caring.
yeah.
Like the worst that can happen is they say no, I'm too busy, and then go find someone else. It's not that bad.
It's cool. The whole. Can my cat stop meowing? Without collaboration, people can't get stuff done.
Yeah.
And I think it's neat. It feels like even with people you don't really talk to a lot, you can kind of rely on them, or well, not rely, but like you can always ask people for help, and it's not really frowned upon as much as it feels like it is sometimes.
Yeah, and once you finally get your project done with everyone, it's such a rewarding feeling.
Yeah.
Just put so much work. Like for this Octopath thing I'm working on, there's 24 musicians.
Oh wow.
This project started in January, and we're finally gonna get it out this month.
Holy crap.
And it's been a wild ride.
Jeez, man, I wish I had more time. I mean, I do have time, but I wish I was more organized, so I could.
Oh, I am not organized. I'm not organized.
I really like. I love making music, but I'm terrible at getting my ass up and actually starting to do things. Because once I get started, like usually, I go all the way, especially if it's a project that I'm really excited about. But man, it's so hard to get the mental energy to be like, okay, time to get started on this huge project that is probably gonna be done in like 6 months from now, if even that. Like, and I wish, man, because it's so cool. It like as you said, it's really satisfying. And I remember you posting about like a while ago that I think you were like struggling. You weren't really sure what you were gonna do, like if you were gonna focus more on music or if you were gonna focus more on speedruns. And then you posted something like that you were gonna focus more on big projects instead of trying to get like covers every week or something, because that was just like too much and it didn't give you the satisfaction, right? And
yeah, exactly.
And it really does feel a lot better when it's like something, especially when you work with a lot of people, because then it feels like, whoa, I orchestrated this, like literally.
Yeah.
I organized this, I made this thing happen. It's like, it feels like a big deal, and people usually also respond like, yeah, this is a big deal. Like, it's gratifying. I really want to work on like a big like collab with a bunch of people. The biggest one I did so far was for March Caprice. I did like that the restoration of that Melody of Memory track.
I heard that. It was really good.
Thank you.
It was amazing.
That was my biggest collaboration with other people, and it wasn't even that many. Like it was what 8 people maybe. Like
8 is a lot of people. That's a lot of people.
I mean, yeah, I guess. But I feel like, you know, now I just want to keep going. I want to, like,
yeah.
I want.
You always wanna one up yourself.
Yeah.
Every single time.
But
Yeah.
I'm not really
I actually
sure.
had a Kingdom Hearts music project in mind. Remastering tracks from games that didn't get remastered.
Oh,
so
that's a perfect idea. That's a really good idea.
So a lot of tracks from 358 over 2 days, they deserve to be remastered. Like Fighting Away. I'd like to hear that remastered. Even Rechain of Memories.
Yeah, Chain of Memories.
Recoded even. There's a lot of material to work from, and it's just a matter of finding people who are interested in working on it.
If you need help with anything, I am down to help.
I'll let you know. Yeah.
Because I would love to.
I don't know how soon I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. It's just an idea, but
look who showed up. Alright, I need you to leave so I don't get allergies, please. Well, it's been awesome talking to you.
Yeah.
But it's
thanks for having me.
Yeah, dude, this was probably one of the most fun episodes so far.
Well, I appreciate that, man.
And if I don't know if you ever want to return to talk about anything else, just let me know if you ever want to collab on something. I am
I'd be down
for it. Yeah.
For sure.
But yeah, also everyone, please check out Violin's channels on YouTube. It's ViolinGamer, ViolinSR. Well, they're here on the screen. You can click. Make sure you check him out on Twitch. He does awesome stuff. Check out his SoundCloud now that we know he has one. But yeah, and
also make sure to subscribe to the Sound Ideas channel.
Oh yeah, I always forget to tell people to subscribe to this channel. Please subscribe to this channel if you want to watch more Kingdom Hearts music stuff. And if you want to check out my actual channel, it is here as well. And yeah, and also and also I have a Twitter. And also he has a Twitter. Anyway, that will be it. Goodbye.
Peace.